At just 10 years old, the world turned quiet for Static. The house that once echoed with his father's laughter was suddenly filled with a heavy silence. He stood beside his mother, Busy, holding her hand as they looked at the space where a giant had once stood. Busy's grip was firm, a silent promise that they would find a way through the storm together, even as the weight of their loss pressed. In the months that followed, Static found a voice he never knew he had. He began to fill every scrap of paper he could find with words that rhymed and rhythms that pulsed. His rough afro grew wilder as he spent hours hunched over his notebooks, turning his pain into poetry and his silence into a beat. The ink on his fingers was a badge of his new obsession, rap. Life at Maverick Secondary School was a blur of classes and corridors until Static met Jide. Jide was a spark of pure energy who saw the magic in Static's scribbled lines. "You've got a gift, man," Jide told him one afternoon, leaning against a locker. It was the first time someone outside his home had acknowledged the fire burning inside him, and for the first time, Static felt a flicker of true confidence. Jide didn't just praise Static, he pushed him. During every lunch break in the school courtyard, Jide would beatbox, creating a canvas of sound for Static to paint with his words. "Louder, Static." "Let them hear the soul in it," Jide would shout. Slowly, the shy boy who hid behind his hair began to stand taller, his voice echoing off the brick walls of Maverick Secondary. Word of the boy from Maverick spread like wildfire. Soon, Static wasn't just rapping in courtyards. He was standing on local stages under the glow of neon lights. The name Static was whispered in the streets and shouted in the clubs. He became a local hero, a symbol of what could rise from the dust of struggle. The energy of the crowd was an intoxicating wave that he rode with effortless grace. The fame grew beyond his neighborhood, stretching across the entire state. Static found himself in professional studios, working alongside seasoned creators like Kojo, the veteran sound engineer. Kojo watched the young artist with respect as Static laid down track after track. "You're a natural," Kojo remarked, adjusting the sliders on the massive soundboard. But the higher Static climbed, the thinner the air became. The constant demand for new hits, the social media trolls, and the haunting memories of his father began to weave into a dark tapestry. One night, backstage before a sold-out show, BC found him staring into the mirror, his eyes hollow and his spirit frayed. The pressure was no longer a fuel, it was a weight that was crushing him. The music stopped, Static retreated into a deep, quiet depression, the rhythm of his life falling out of sync. He spent days in his room, the notebooks that once brought him joy now gathering dust on the floor. He felt like a ghost in his own story, unable to find the words that used to come so easily. The silence he had escaped as a child had returned to claim him. It was BC who brought the light back. She didn't offer platitudes. She brought him his father's old watch and his very first notebook. "Your father didn't leave you a map, Static, but he gave you the heart to find your own way," she whispered. Static looked at his mother, seeing the same strength that had carried them through his childhood. The spark didn't return as a roar, but as a steady, quiet hum. Static returned to the booth, not for the fame or the crowds, but for himself. He began to release new music that was raw, honest, and more powerful than anything he had written before. He stood on the stage once again, a man who had faced the darkness and found his own rhythm. As he raised the microphone, he knew his father was listening and the world was ready to hear his song.